Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7.52 Nishamya bhima gaditam Draupadyascha chaturbhujaha Alokya vadanam sakhyur Idamaha hasan iva. Nishamya, after hearing this, bhima gaditam, what is spoken by Bhima, Draupadyascha chaturbhujaha. And here earlier Draupadi had also spoken. So hearing them all, Chaturbhujaha, Krishna, whose divinity is indicated here by referring to him with the word Chaturbhujaha. Alokya vadanam sakhyur. He looked at the face of his friend Arjuna. Idam aha hasan iva. And he spoke these words as if smiling. So there is a conflict that needs to be resolved over here. Different people seem inclined to act in different ways here. We see that Arjuna is not inclined to kill Ashwatthama because Draupadi has made strong arguments against killing him, and those arguments have won over everyone except Bhima, who is strongly insistent on killing him. Draupadi is focusing on his antecedents, on Ashwatthama's antecedents, who he is, he is a Brahmana, he is the son of their guru, he has a mother who depends on him. She is seeing his antecedents, his connections and focusing on them, whereas Bhima is focusing on Ashwatthama's actions. He said he acted so brutally and so pointlessly, so unjustifiable were his actions. And this conflict situation now needs to be resolved, and Krishna is turning to Arjuna here. It's interesting that although Yudhishthira is the king, Krishna focuses on Arjuna over here. It is Arjuna who will resolve the situation. It is not that Arjuna is usurping Yudhishthira's position. It is simply that Arjuna is actually working towards completing things, and it is Arjuna who went in pursuit of Ashwatthama. It is Arjuna who arrested Ashwatthama. It is Arjuna who had vowed to help to avenge, to pacify Draupadi by telling her that he would avenge her son's death. So he had been at the center of action. So naturally Krishna is focusing on Arjuna here, and he's telling him, now you have to resolve this. And Prabhupada explains in his purport, based on the Acharya's commentaries, the significance of the word Chaturbhujaha over here. So, when Bhima, he spoke those words, Bhima was not just a man of words, Bhima of strong words, Bhima was also a man of aggressive action whenever necessary. So, he says that Prabhupada uses that we can easily imagine. It's interesting, Prabhupada uses the word imagine sometimes, that we consider as if imagination is forbidden in bhakti. We should simply follow what is told in Shastra, and imagination is forbidden. However, that is not the case. We know that imagination is essential in any artistic rendition. When a drama is performed, when a painting is drawn, when a book is written, at that time there has to be an element of imagination which brings about the artistic flavor to the scriptural description. Now, after all, when when a natak, when say a natak is performed, when the drama is performed, so Chaitanya Chandrodaya natak is there. So there, if the drama is going to be depicted as a drama actually, not just as a book, then the drama director or the drama author is not going to write down every single detail of what the setting should be, what the exact color of the dress who was wearing, what was the length, if it's going to be a war scene, what was the length of the sword. So every single detail is not going to be described even in the most detailed drama narratives. Then how are those details going to be filled in? Those details need to be filled in using the creative imagination of the drama making team. And when they use the creative imagination, the central point, the purpose is that they will, if they are well informed devotionally, then they will use their devotional knowledge to harmonize what they have, what they know based on scripture with what they add to the scriptural description. So this will be harmonious enhancement. It will not be disharmonious enhancement. So Chaturbhuja, what it signifies, Prabhupada says, we can imagine what happened as Bhima. Draupadi has been saying that Ashwatthama should not be killed, and Bhima is bent on killing Ashwatthama. So amidst this conflict between the two, Draupadi states between the two, it is that that Krishna may have had to intervene, and in order to intervene, he manifests four arms. So with two arms, he restrains and pushes back Bhima, and with two arms, he restrains Draupadi. In this way, he ensures that there is no altercation or confrontation between the two. And then it is said over here, Hasan Iva. He was as if smiling. Now, why would Krishna in this situation want to smile? Why would he be smiling? There is another situation in the Bhagavad Gita also. Prahasan iva bharata. Krishna was smiling. That is described in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita when Arjuna surrendered to him. So there, the point of the smile is not that Krishna is in any way sadistic or anything like that. So 1.10 says that, so 2.10 says that in the Bhagavad Gita says, Tamuvacha Rishikesha Prahasan iva bharata Senayor bhayor madhye Vishidantamidam vachaha. So unto him Tamuvacha Rishikesha. So unto him, that is Arjuna, Rishikesha spoke, and he was Prahasan iva bharata. It was as if he was smiling. Iva. So Prahasan iva is used there, and here it is Hasan iva it is used. Krishna was smiling. So there it is described in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna was smiling because it was as if smiling because it was a dramatic change in the dynamic of their relationship. A friend had become a disciple. Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. 3 verses ago in 2.17, Arjuna has said that I am your disciple, I am soul surrendered unto you, please instruct me. So amidst this dramatic change in the dynamic of their relationship, Krishna, observing how this has happened, is amused. And that amusement comes out as a smile. It is not that he is distressed at what has happened to Arjuna. It's not that he is delighted at the distress that Arjuna is going through. It is not that he is laughing at Arjuna, but he is smiling at the way things work in this world and how situations in this world change so dramatically. And of course, here, because of Arjuna's accepting a submissive position, Krishna will be getting an opportunity to speak the timeless wisdom of the Gita for benefiting not just Arjuna but for benefiting all of humanity for all time to come. So that is the reason why Krishna is as if smiling. So now here, why is he smiling as if smiling? Because it's again a test for Arjuna, and Krishna will be testing Arjuna's expertise at conflict resolution. When two of his relatives, his wife and his elder brother, they are at odds about what should be done to Ashwatthama. So how will Arjuna resolve that situation? Krishna is calling upon Arjuna to do that, and he is suggesting that he solve the problem. And while knowing that it is not an easy problem to solve, Krishna smiles. For him, it's a leela, it's a test, and he knows that Arjuna will pass the test. But he wants also the world to see the glory of Arjuna, his expertise in dharma, and that will be revealed in the action that he undergoes in the future verses. But before that, Krishna speaks to Arjuna in the next verses. So, 2 verses he speaks. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Brahma Bandhur Nahantavya Atatai Vadharanha Mayaiva Chobhayam Amnatam Paripahya Anushasanam Kurupati Shrutam Satyam Yattat Santvayata Priyam Priyam Cha Bhimasenasya Panchalya Mahyamevacha. So Krishna offers a summary of the situation, of the dynamics of that situation, the pros and cons of various courses of action. Krishna offers a quick summary. He says, what are the principles involved? One principle is Brahma Bandhur Nahantavya, that a Brahma Bandhu should not be killed. That's one principle. Atatai Vadharanaha, that Atatai, one who is aggressor, should be killed. Mayaiva Obhav Amnatam, that by me and by others, Ubhayam, by both of us, Amnatam, it has been told like this. Paripahaya Anushasanam, and this has to be done, one has to act according to scripture. So there is a conflict in one sense in the scripture injunction, and there is also in the conflict in the circumstantial desires. So on one side, scripture itself, different people can quote different rulings from scriptures. So one ruling is that even a Brahma Bandhu should not be killed, and other is that aggressor should be killed. And then further, what is the other circumstantial conflict over here? Kuru patishrutam satyam. Kuru patishrutam satyam. You have to make sure. Kuru means you have to do. Patishut, you have to make your own word too. What the word which you have spoken aloud. Yattu santveta priyam. So, what the promise that you gave to Draupadi, you have to make sure that you keep that word. This is the circumstantial pull that is there for the situation also. At the same time, Priyam cha Bhimasenasya Panchalya Mahinyam evacha. So, and there are multiple people who are dear to you. There is Bhima is dear to you as your elder brother, Draupadi is dear to you as your wife, and I am also here. So you have to please all of us also. So at one level we might say that Krishna is being spectacularly unhelpful here. Rather than giving a solution, Krishna is actually, by putting all the stacks together in one place and then putting all the stacks on the opposite side in the other place, he is just giving a neat summary of the situation, which does not help in the resolution of the situation. So Krishna, why does he do like this? Krishna knows that Arjuna is expert, and Krishna acts frequently to glorify his devotees. by showing how they act rightly even when they are put in provocative situations. So here Krishna will act appropriately based on, Krishna knows that Arjuna will act appropriately, and Krishna is throwing the ball in Arjuna's court here. And let us see how Arjuna deals with the situation. Suta Uvacha Arjuna Sahasa Jnaya Harer Hardam Athasina Manim Jahar Murdhanyam Dujasya Saha Murdhajam. So Arjuna Sahasa Ajnaya. So at that time, Ajnaya rather. Ajnaya is knowing, Jnana is to know. Ajnaya means to come to know. So Arjuna at that time, he came to know. Harer Hardam Athasina. So he understood the motive of the Lord. He understood what Krishna wanted him to do, because they had a heart-to-heart connection and they were so close to each other. Sometimes when two people are very close to each other, there is a silent communication just by the eyes, or even if there is no verbal communication, just by being together and being in a situation, they can read each other's minds almost. So Arjuna understood, and of course Krishna is present in Arjuna's heart as the Paramatma, and Arjuna is a devotee whose consciousness is tuned to Krishna's consciousness. So he understood Krishna's intention, and what did he do? Manims Jahar Murdhanyam. So Murdhan is the head. So there was a money on his forehead, which he had Dujasya Saha, which he had been born with, of the twice born. Some Murdhajam. Murdha is head. Murdhajam is that which is born from the head. That is hair. So he cut off his hair and cut off the jewel. How does this action of, one person is saying he should be punished, the other person is saying he should be forgiven, how does this Arjuna's action of cutting off the hair and cutting off the jewel resolve the action? So that is understood to the point that actually for an honorable person, dishonor is often worse than death. Sambhavita sacha kirtir maranadatirichyate. As Krishna told Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter. So here Ashwatthama has committed a dishonorable action, and by his own actions he is dishonored, and when the consequences come upon him, he is dishonored by, for two things Krishna does to Arjuna, Arjuna does to him. One is he disempowers him by taking away the jewel which he had since his birth. That was a very powerful jewel, and that gave him a lot of power. So when that jewel was taken away, he lost most of his power, and further he lost his hair was cut off. That means it is known to everyone that he has been defeated and he has been dishonored. Hairstyle is often a matter of prestige, and cutting off the hair is clearly a matter of a dishonor. Time and time it again happens like this, that say for example when Rukmi appears and he tries to attack Krishna and he tries to interfere with Krishna's plan to unite with Rukmini. At that time Krishna intervenes in that situation and he punishes Rukmi by cutting off his hair. So that is a standard way of castigating upstarts. So Ashwatthama also acted as upstart here, and he has been castigated in this way by cutting off his hair. Now, what to do in such a situation? So Krishna has entrusted this to Arjuna, and Arjuna, what does he do? he disempowers Ashwatthama, and he uh, ensures that it is known that he has been dishonored, and he leaves the situation there, and he releases him. That's mentioned in the next text, 56 text. Vimuchya rashana baddham balhatya hata prabham tejasa manina hinam shibiran nirayapayat. Vimuchya rashana baddham. So on he was released, Vimuchya, from, he's released from the bondage of the ropes. Balhatya hata prabham. Now, because he had already committed an abominable activity by killing the children, so he had already lost his hata prabham. Tejasa manina hinam. And further, when money was taken away from him, then he lost effulgence further. Manina hinam shibiran nirayapayat. He was driven away from the shibira. So here we see that Ashwatthama was a fugitive. He had been caught, imprisoned, arrested, and now released and left to his own means. He had been dishonored in such a way that he will see that he did not go to his house, he did not go to the place where he had stayed with his father, he did not go to his mother. What he does, he tries something despicable again in future. That will be mentioned in the next chapter. 57 text goes on. Vapanam dravina danam sthanan nirayapanam tatha eshahi brahma bandhunam vadhonanyosti dahikaha. Dahikaha means in terms of the body. Vadhonanyosti, a brahmana should not be killed. That is the injunction regarding scriptures about brahmanas. Vapanam. Vapanam means cutting off their hair, cleaving the hairs from the head. Dravinadanam, that's taking away their wealth. Dravina is wealth. Confiscating their wealth. Sthanan nirayapanam tatha. And driving them away from the resistance. Nirayapanam, driving him away. Eshahi brahma bandhunam. These are the punishments which are prescribed for the brahmanas. So there is Dharma Shastra which gives various codes of conduct, and Dharma Shastra can vary according to time, place and circumstance. Just as a judge is required even when there are exhaustive law codes, because even amid exhaustive law codes, there is no guarantee that that any particular case will fit neatly into a particular law code. So for the case to fit properly within a particular legal framework, is unlikely. Real life situations have many nuances, many complexities, and that's why there has to be a judge and there have to be lawyers. And even a criminal in the most obvious crimes, where the criminal is clearly culpable, even in such a situation, the criminal requires some sort of defense. Without that defense, it's considered to be an improper situation. So some lawyers, if the criminal can't hire lawyers, doesn't have money or whatever, then the government provides some lawyers as some advocate, and that's how the case moves onwards. So essentially, the point is that there has to be the proper administration of justice. And here Sutta Goswami is informing us about the rightness of the action of Arjuna by quoting the appropriate scriptural principle over here, which says that Brahmana should not be killed. but they can be punished in the way in which Arjuna punished them. Then the chapter concludes here, text 58. Putra shokaturah sarve pandavasah krishnaya swanam vritanam yat krutyam chakrur niraharanadikam. So then putra shokaturah sarve. Now all of them were afflicted by the grief of having lost their sons. Pandavasah krishnaya. So Krishna was also there, Draupadi was also there, and Swanam Bhatanam Yat Kutyam. So after people die, there are some last rites to be performed to do what we can for providing an auspicious destination for them. Swanam Bhatanam Yat Kutyam Chakrur Niraharanadikam. Niraharanadikam means that whatever appropriately undertakeable, those last rites were undertaken. When we live in a society, in a family, in a society, there is an interconnected network within which we live, and this interconnected network means that there is no we have our relationships, we have obligations, and we take care of our loved ones as long as they are alive, and when they depart, then also we have an obligation to them. And the Pandavas, the whole family, did the needful, the proper rituals for the sake of their departed sons. Normally, the Vedic standard is that when a person dies, it is the son who performs the last rites. But in this case, it is the sons who had died, and they had been so young, they did not have their own sons. So the last rites had to be performed by their elders, their fathers. This is a disruption of the natural order. And it was not just the death of the Pandava's sons that was causing them grief. It was the fact that they died when they were so young, and they died so in such a brutal way, while they were killed so brutally. That was what afflicted them. So prior to that, Abhimanyu had also been killed in a brutal way. Unarmed and outnumbered, and their other sons had also now been killed. Pandavas were grief-stricken, but still they did not deviate from dharma, but completed their dharmic obligations by ensuring that the deceased got their dues in the form of the appropriate final